Good morning. Welcome to the Alpine Church of Spiritual Living, where we are celebrating our 35th anniversary of our church today and my 20th as the minister. So I'm going to be reading the thought for the week, and as you are in the room, can join me down in the bolded area down at the bottom. This Sunday, our church is celebrating our 35th year here in Alpine and my 20th as minister. We're having a potluck after the 11 a.m. service in Fuller Hall, and any and everyone is welcome. If you've enjoyed reading my column, which I've been writing for 19 years, you might want to come and attend the service and hear the message in person. They say a minister talks about what they need to learn themselves. As I was taking my walk in Wright's Field this morning, I was remembering it was exactly 1 year ago today that I received a call that our son was in the hospital with his first heart attack. Little did I know that 2 short months later he would leave this earth plane. I was feeling various feelings, none of which were positive or happy, when I heard the voice inside me say, "Remember what you sang in last Sunday's talk, and do it." It was Ricky Byers' song. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Remembering to leave my heart open is a lesson that I need to learn time and again. Freedom is the banner under which we are moving through this month of July. Freedom denotes an air of openness, of being unrestricted. It is well documented by David Hawkins in his book, Letting Go, that our lack of freedom comes from the feelings that we primarily suppress, repress, deny, or project. To quote Hawkins, to be free of inner conflict and expectations is to give ourselves and others in our life the greatest freedom. It allows us to experience the basic nature of the universe, which, it will be discovered, is to manifest the greatest good possible in a situation. This may sound philosophical, thank you, but when done, it is experientially true. Say with me, I let go of inner conflict and expectations to set myself free, so I am able to experience the greatest good possible in any and all situations. Thank you, God. Okay. So I'm very happy that our book club, we have been going through David Hawkins' book, Letting Go, for some time now. We went through the whole thing, actually, and the book club, everybody agreed that it wasn't enough. We wanted to go back and revisit many, many parts of it. So we are still going through that book again through the month of July. And it's worth reviewing because there is an incredible amount of knowledge there that I don't think most of us really have thought about in the past, at least I hadn't really. And it gives us a way to, number one, recognize the feelings that we have. Many of them are pent up, they're buried, and so we may act one way and not recognize that the underlying feeling is coming from something totally different. And so I think it's important for us to be aware of these feelings as they come up, and the whole process is really not much to it. It's pretty simple. You recognize a feeling that's coming up, and you say, oh, there you are, or there's anger, or there's fear, or whatever it is, and you let it have its life. You let it be, and you try not to categorize it too much. You don't say, oh no, why am I doing that again? No, we don't go there. We just let it bubble up, allow it to be, and then it's able to be released. So Hawkins says that everything has a vibration, and the higher the vibration, the more power that it has. And so he's been able to calibrate these emotions and the corresponding vibration that they carry with them. I just wanted to give you the rundown of the way that they are leveled, and levering. The lower end of the scale starts with shame, and that is calibrated at 20. Moving up is guilt at 30, apathy at 50, grief at 75, fear at 100, desire at 125, anger at 150, pride at 175, courage at 200. That's the breaking point. Courage is now dropping away from the negative into the positive. Neutrality, 250. Willingness, 310. Acceptance, 350. Reason, 400. Love, 500. Joy, 540. Peace, 600. And enlightenment, 700 to 1,000. Anybody in this room at 700 or 1,000? Yeah, look around.
In progress.
We're in progress, that's right. So the positive vibrations, again, start with courage and go up from there. And he relates this, again, to this power of the energy that they bring with them. Each of those energy levels has an association with it on our chakras throughout the body, right? Our emotional body. And so the chakra energies through Kundalini energy is said to flow once it is awakened to the courage level. So at 200. So 200 is the breaking point where we can literally move forward in the consciousness of our mentality and our spiritual well-being. The energy centers, the chakras, were measured by a variety of clinical techniques and sensitive electronic instruments on the map of consciousness. The chakras calibrate as follows. The crown chakra is 600. The third eye is 525. The throat is 350. The heart is 505. The solar plexus, 275. The sacral or the spleen is 275. And the base or root chakra is 200. And so these energies flow through meridians throughout the body. Each meridian is associated with a particular organ, and each organ is associated with a particular emotion. Every negative emotion impairs a body organ, and if it is carried over years, the organ becomes diseased and eventually fails. And if you want to know more about which organ is what, you can. But the bottom line is to recognize that our physical bodies are absolutely related to these emotions and to the energy level that is flowing through us. And so when we can consciously be aware to live in that courage level and above, then we are allowing ourselves to live a more free life of without disease and without all sorts of consternation. I think the main point here is that we can be aware to bring ourselves to a higher level of consciousness with our thinking and primarily, according to Hawkins, with our feeling nature initially. It was interesting because as I went through that litany of the levels, desire is low. It's at 125. And I know that if you've heard me preach for these many years, I have always taught that desire means literally of the Father, and that it's a good thing. When you have a desire of your heart, that you need to go for it. And when I read Hawkins' description of what desire was, it said, it is always seeking gain, acquisition, pleasure, and getting something outside oneself. It is insatiable, never satisfied, and crowing, I have to have it. Give me what I want and give it to me now. Now that reminds me of my 4-year-old granddaughter. I've heard her say that many times. To me, that definition and where he's coming from that desire, is the egoic one, is the immature child level of desire. Then every morning I get a text from a fellow named Patrick via Hugh. And he had one the other day that just hit the nail on the head for me. And I went, yes, I got to share this. Patrick wrote, desire is righteous when it flows through a righteous vessel. When your mind is attuned through prayer, meditation, and forgiveness, you earn the right to trust yourself. When you are aligned with the truth, capital, with love, capital, your desires are trustworthy. So to me, that's where I'm coming from, that my desires, our desires, when we go within, when we have our meditation, when we have our forgiveness practices, when we go into the silence, then we are available to have our desires from the Father come forth so that we can hear them, not from the desires of what's going out here in the world, but from the desires of our heart. Hawkins was continuing to say that when we observe our feelings, we can be free of them. He said, and then he says it's important not to think about them. Again, no evaluation, no judgment, right? Which is not easy to do, guys. It really isn't. And when you catch yourself, we in the class, we're going, oh, yeah, that's right. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinking about it. I'm judging it. That's not part of the deal here. Hawkins wrote, pursuing thoughts can keep us occupied endlessly. Didn't you think about that? Oh, yeah, I could just listen this down a little rabbit hole. Thoughts are like goldfish in the bowl. The real self, capital S, is like the water. The real self is the space between thoughts, or more exactly, the field of silent awareness beneath all thoughts. That's our aim. That's our goal, is to live in that space, in that field of silence that is within, that is beneath all thought, and let it run our lives. There is nothing that we need to get out there. That definition of desire from the egoic standpoint is not reality. What we need to let out what is within us when we anchor into it. And then we will just be amazed at what happens in our life. Letting go means letting go of the layers of conditioning that we have gone through, every one of us in our lives. I was talking to someone the other day, and I know that there's been a history of some problems, medically and whatever. And I said, well, how are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm doing okay. You know what? I just decided that I'm not going to keep telling my story. Because if I keep telling my story, that story is just going to keep perpetuating itself. So I decided to let my story go. I thought that was very wise, to let the story go. I feel that's important for us to realize that there is one power and presence in and through all, the power of the divine. And yes, it looks different, it acts different with every single person. But when we can open our spiritual eye to that divinity within each and every person and each and everything, that is what we see. That is what we experience. When we let the love out that we are, it comes back to us. It mirrors back to us. How many in this room have the book? We gave the book out, Letting Go, to everybody that came to church at one point or another. Some of you are in the class, and some of you have been reading it. Some of you aren't in the class, but I think you still have the book. Highly recommend, if nothing else, you go back and look at chapter 11, Acceptance. Acceptance calibrates at 350, and it is a lovely place to be. There we feel happy with what simply is. There's no need to change or fix anything. How many of you are using the welcoming prayer that I handed out? I think, Peter, did it get put on the website? It's on the website. So look at the welcoming prayer. I didn't grab it to bring it with me again, but it says, I welcome everything that comes to me today, for I know it is for my healing, and I let go of the need for power, approval, all of those things that the ego is trying to tell you you need. You let all that go. I let go of the need to change anything, including me, for I am only open to the action of God within me. When we let go of the power of the ego, we are letting go of unreality. And we are sitting in the seat of accepting what truly is, which is only love and joy. Everything is coming together for our highest and best good. I wanted to share with you at the end of the book what he says. Eventually, everything is surrendered that stands in the way of the presence, of course, capital P. The presence is so obvious, so startling, so overwhelming that there's no question about it. It is profound, total, all-encompassing, absolutely overwhelming, totally transforming, and completely unmistakable. When everything is surrendered that stands in the way, it is there, shining brightly forth. If you let go of trying to control your experience of the moment, and if you constantly surrender it like a tone of music, then you live on the crest of this exact alwaysness. Alwaysness. I think you made up that word. Experience arises like a note of music. Think about a note of music, you know, right? You hit the note, right? And you hear it at that moment. It's already passing away. The instant you've heard it, it's already dissolving. So every single moment is dissolving as it arises. Let go of anticipating the next moment, trying to control it, trying to hang on to the moment that has just passed. Let go clinging to what has just occurred. Let go trying to control what you think is about to occur. Then you live in an infinite space of non-time and non-event. There is an infinite peace beyond description, and you are home. We are all home when we allow the divine presence to have its way with us. I hope this day and every day you find yourself at home in the peace and the presence and in the joy of the divine. Namaste.